Last summer, I moved from my hometown of Portland, Oregon to New York City to teach English to incarcerated teens in East New York, one of the most impoverished parts of Brooklyn. This was a big adjustment for me in many ways. I grew up in a predominantly white, middle-class neighborhood, and the poverty in East New York struck me. There was garbage everywhere. Dog poop on the sidewalks, glass in the streets, and plastic bags flying through the air. The cultural differences between Portland and New York City were also shocking. I was struck by the way New Yorkers drove, which made me constantly feel like they were going to hit me. The way my coworkers always said goodnight to me to bid me farewell at 3:20 in the afternoon, and, most strikingly, the language my students used. I frequently found myself standing at the front of the classroom stuttering words like analyze, interpret, and probe, while my students ignored me and talked amongst themselves. It didn't take me long to realize they weren't ignoring me because they were rude or didn't know how to be in a classroom. They were ignoring me because many of them didn't understand what I was saying. While I struggled to find words to communicate my expectations, my students taught me new words I didn't know. They used terms like dot, a word used to describe a slutty girl, and kite, especially folded note. They scratched symbols on the desks, walls, and whiteboards that I knew were gang symbols, but I didn't know which gangs they referred to. I quickly realized that if I didn't take the time to understand my students' backgrounds, I wouldn't be able to build enough of a relationship with any of them to teach. In order to learn more about my students, I came up with an assignment. I would ask my students to write letters to me every Friday about any topic they chose. I would respond to them in writing and give them a letter back every Monday. I hoped that this would help my students feel more comfortable with me, as well as teach me more about them and develop their writing skills. I had tried this assignment at another school and had success with it, so I was excited when I came in that first Friday and explained it to my students. Unfortunately, my students did not match my enthusiasm. My description of the assignment was met with blank stares. "Did I mention I would write back to you?" I said in a last attempt to grab their attention. Finally, a student's hand shot up. "Yes," I said, pointing to her enthusiastically. "Why is your face so red?" she asked me. I shrugged. Dejected, I began erasing the board early and collecting pencils and paper. A student who hadn't said a word to me all week approached me. He must want a snack certificate or a good report from his judge, I thought, but instead he said, "Miss, will you really write back?" "Yes, of course," I said. "And I can really write about anything?" he asked. "Anything," I said. Though I gave up on the letter writing assignment with the rest of the class, this student named Christian wrote to me frequently. I learned a lot about him through the letters, that he loves Miley Cyrus, that his favorite animal is a dolphin, and that he loves to read books about kidnappings. In turn, I told Christian a few things about myself. I described the great running trails in Oregon, the delicious maple bars you can find at any bakery, which you can't find in New York, and the temperate, rainy weather. Christian felt comfortable sharing personal things in his letters too. I learned about his parents, his struggles in school, and his insecurities about becoming friends with his peers. Though the letter assignment didn't work with my other students, it is a technique that I will keep trying because, at the very least, it communicates to my students that I care about them and want to learn about where they come from and what they're passionate about. Lately, I've been able to learn more about my students by simply approaching them and asking them how their days are going, what they want to do when they're out of detention, or when their next court date is. Many of my students love astrology and check out astrology books from the library, so lately I've been asking them what their astrological signs are to get to know them better. I've acquired song suggestions from students, like Christian, and developed a taste for some of their favorite artists, such as YG, Drake, and Chief Keef. Though I am still new to New York City, and still largely uneducated about the cultural experiences my students have had, I strive to learn more about them every day so that they can comfortably learn from me.